It's good to see everybody again. I just want to take a few minutes before we get started with the coaches and the staff and the players for the day, just to welcome you back to Commonwealth Stadium as we begin to sort of get into the daily grind of the 2015-16 school year and the season, and an exciting time for our program and the university as we see some changes occurring before our eyes. Since we last met, I just wanted to take an opportunity to revisit in June accomplishments of a couple of our athletes that you may have noticed, but I wouldn't want to. I'd be remiss if I didn't mention Kendra Harrison and Des Bryant. They were crowned national champions in Eugene, Oregon at the National Outdoor Track and Field Championships, and really proud of them. They graduated and have moved on to their professional careers and have an opportunity to run in the Olympics and obviously internationally as we go forward, and we wish them all the best. Our women's track and field team finished second in the country in June. A great effort by Edric Florial, our men's and women's track and field coach, and really proud of them and the way they represented the university. It was pretty cool atmosphere, great environment, and those two young ladies distinguished themselves in some very unique ways, and so I wish them all the best. Obviously, we've got a lot going on. I'll touch on just a couple, 2 or 3 areas, and then take some questions, then clear the stage, which is what you want me to do anyway, so Coach Stoops can get up here and get going. But want to address just the building process that's going on in Commonwealth and the excitement that we are experiencing with that. I've had an opportunity to try and try and stay everybody's way. They certainly don't want me doing any construction work. That would be a disaster. But to walk around and just pay attention to what's going on day by day, and I try and go around every 5-6 days and just sort of see the progress that these guys are making, and they're working really hard. And so I wanted to take a moment to thank Russ Pear and our staff internally to UK, the physical plant people at the university, the folks at Skanska and Congleton Hacker. They're working diligently. There's upwards of 350, 400 people working on the job every day to get the stadium ready for September 5th. And I think what I would say, everybody's, worried, you're walking around, oh my word, we got a lot to do. Yeah, there's a lot to do. I've never been a part of a building project that didn't run right down to the wire, and every one of us has been in this enterprise in terms of college athletics has been at those places where you're trying to get a facility ready for a certain moment, and you're literally dusting floors and polishing things up at the last minute, and it's all hands on deck, and that's what it'll be. And everybody is working hard towards September 5th. We certainly know the timeline. The construction folks know the timeline. Our staff knows the timeline, and but that's exciting. I think people look at sometimes as that as a difficult thought process. I look at it as a great opportunity. Boy, it's a great chance for us to have a lot of fun and do some really, really special things together. And it's going to be great to open that thing on September 5th. It'll be a really neat moment for our football players, for our coaching staff. And then when you look just to the other side of the stadium and you see the training center with the steel going up and that facility being built the way and moving along, we hope obviously to have that thing under roof. Somebody's trying to reach you. But to see that facility going up and just to know that we'll get that under roof by the winter and have an opportunity to continue to work on that and have that ready for next summer. The 2 additions to our football program will make a great difference in the things that we're able to do, both on the field in terms of our players, and then the recruiting and things like that allows us to do off the field. So really excited about those projects. It's all in is probably between $170 to $180 million investment in our football program, and just trying to give us the best opportunity to compete in the great conference that we're in. So it's a great time, and so I want to thank those guys for all their efforts. They're working tirelessly, and we'll do all we can to support that effort. And again, it'll be, we'll be ready to go on September 5th and have at it. So looking forward to the season. The other thing I would say is I just wanted to just take a minute or two and thank this coaching staff, Coach Stoops and The staff have been incredible in terms of their efforts in recruiting and the things they continue to do to represent our program, and I'm really, really proud of what they have done. Our players have had a really, really good offseason. I'm sure Coach will address that. I see them coming and going a little bit and different places, and they're over there doing their workouts and working hard. I really had a chance to see them as a group for the first time last night. We welcomed them all back to campus and saw some of the newcomers and the physical change in their bodies, the strength that obviously they've gained. It was impressive. And I told them that last night. I told them you can see the change. And I think sometimes when you're away from young people for a couple months and you don't see them in person day to day and day, you don't notice the change as dramatically as if you all of a sudden walk up on them after a while, and it was evident. And I told them that last night. When they walked in the room last night, there was a physical change on the looks of a bunch of those players. And so I told them those are the steps necessary to become a great football program and to obviously have the success that we want to have. So I told them I was proud of their efforts. We challenged them a little bit last spring in the academics. We challenged them for off the field and the way they conduct themselves and the things that we do. And we challenged them to get ready for 8 home games in Commonwealth Stadium and an opportunity to continue to move forward with our football program. And by all accounts, everything that I've seen over the last 2 to 3 months, obviously from a little bit of not the close distance that Mark's in, I'm a little further removed from that, but from everything I've seen, they've given that kind of an effort, and they're incredibly well prepared to enter this summer camp in preparation for our football season in one of the best shapes they've ever been. So really, really excited about that and having an opportunity to watch that. So I want to thank the coaches and for what they've done. Corey Edmond has worked extremely hard with those guys in the weight room, and I'm really proud of what he has done in those efforts. I was talking to him last night. He said that they didn't have one player miss one workout over the summer. They said they all just kept coming, and the way they worked with them was he said he was so impressed with their work ethic, and so I'm proud of them for that. Short of that, I'd just say in closing, in that respect, building is a process. As we listen to whatever's going on behind us, it's building is a process, whether it's a facility, whether it's a department, or whether it's a specific program. You build on the field, you build in the hallways, you build in your offices, whatever. You also build off the field, you build off on the field and off. And so I think that it is a process. And people, I hear coaches and I hear folks talk about the process all the time, and you got to stick to the process. And I don't even know what that means. I'm not sure what that means, other than to say you just keep going, you don't stop. And sometimes it takes a little side turn, and sometimes it's straight ahead, and it's very, very defined and very easy. And but I will say this coaching staff is absolutely building a program, and that's what we want. We want people at Kentucky that want to build a program and sustain it and keep it going for this university. So I think we've got a great set of head coaches, and I'm really, really proud to work with them. But this football staff is building a program, and that's what we want. And so we're excited about the progress they've made. So let me stop there. If there's some specific questions, I'm glad to answer them, and then I'll clear the stage, as they say.
Mitch, are you satisfied with the way the ticket sales have gone?
Yeah, I am. I mean, we're continuing to get better. We obviously had dipped down a couple of years back, and we're working our way back. And I think the transition in the stadium will be good for folks. They'll begin. I mean, it's not easy. I mean, I've done probably in my career 3 or 4 stadium renovations in different places. And anytime you do that and you have to change structures and seating bowls and things like that, it's hard. Those are not easy changes. Change is not unemotional. And so folks, obviously changes. Some folks say, okay, I'm willing. But what I found in over time is that if we want to move to where we want to go as a program, we have to continue to change. And we can't be stagnant. And so that change occurred in the way we structured our stadium. And that caused us to have to move some things around, renumber some things, and change some seats, and that wasn't easy. and there were some people that sacrificed, and I'm thankful for those people that were sacrificial in the way they approached it. And there were some folks that clearly were not happy with having the changes in the way we did the seats. That's not going to be a perfect science, but at the end of the day, I think everybody's really going to enjoy it. And by and large, everybody's been terrific. And I think that the K-Fund staff and the ticket office staff worked really hard to make that change occur. And we've grown our season tickets, we've grown our student tickets. We're not done with those numbers yet. I haven't seen them lately, but they continue to grow them, and we've surpassed where we were last year, and moving to sort of some of the numbers that we used to see when we were in that 40,000 range, and we're gaining ground on that and closing in on it. So I'm excited about that. The capacity of the stadium obviously is going to be in that 61,000 range, somewhere in that range as we get the final seat count, and all of those numbers will be in that range. So what we're hoping is it'll be a extremely, I won't say cozy, but it'll be a very it'll be pretty cool in there. I think that you're going to see a lot of folks that look for without being grammatically incorrect, more better seats. And so we're trying to get to that and create a situation where there's a really high quality number of seats that may be fewer seats, but everybody has a better experience. And so we're working diligently at that. I love the way the new field turned out. I think people will be excited about the look of the stadium when they get in there, Mark. So I'm pleased with where we are.
Mitch, what is the feedback you've gotten from the university community about that Thursday night game and the logistical things you're going to do?
I think, again, change is never easy. I think, I'd say 95% of the people are thrilled. There's probably 5% of the people who are going, this is a great inconvenience. But overall, I think people are fired up. I mean, it is a wonderful opportunity to showcase your university. A Thursday night opportunity. I mean, you don't want to get in the habit of doing it. You don't want it to be, because Saturday's traditionally where you play college football. But every once in a while, that Thursday night game's a pretty cool deal. And this will be the first time we've had that opportunity at Kentucky to do that. And to have a Thursday night opportunity where we sort of showcase our campus and have people have an opportunity to move around and see different things and have the nation's eyes on us on a Thursday night is pretty special. So we're excited about it. We've got a great opponent in Auburn University coming in here to play us, and I think that it will be I hope it's one of the great memories in terms of just of things we help create for the university that we can do this year.
How important do you feel reaching a bowl game this season would be just for, in the sense of momentum for the program?
Well, I think obviously you want to reach a bowl game, and that's the goal every year is to get to postseason play. I don't think that's the goal in everything that we do. There's never a sport that we play at Kentucky. We don't want to get to postseason play. So bowl games are important, but I think that's a step. Where we want to get to is we want to compete for championships. But that's a logical step to get there. Is it imperative? No. We build programs. That's what we want to build. Building is a process, and I went back and used the word I don't like, but the reality of it is a step-by-step deal, and we're going to do that. I think that for you all have been around here, I've been here. This is year 14. I know it shocks most of you that I'm still here, yeah. We reflect back to my early years, you got to stay with it. You just keep going, and I think that if it's hard, building is really, really hard. I think everybody thinks it's really, really easy. And I was talking to one of the commissioners of another league. We were at a meeting, and I said I can remember back in the days when I first started. If you had a job, whether that was a head coaching job or an AD job, you had legitimately 4 to 6, 5 to 7 years to turn a program around and get it going. In today's world, with social media and all the pressures of what's going on, legitimately, whether it's at the pro level, the professional level, or at the college level, in today's world, especially in the high-profile sports, you have, in today's world, everybody's already impatient after 2, maybe 3. They might give you 3, so everybody gets all fired up after 2 or 3 years. And I think that it's really hard to turn the clock back on that timetable in today's world. That having said that, I think we need to continue to try and do that. And sometimes circumstances indicate that you've got to do something different. But at the end of the day, with what this staff has done, they have worked so hard and they've done such a good job in the recruiting process, and they've set the table for the next few years, and they're continuing to work. And with all the things that we've got resource-wise out there, I'm really excited about the future with what they've done and how they've done it. The bowl game, yeah, we'd love to get to a bowl game. For these players, I'd like to get to the bowl game. I think that's really important for them to be rewarded for their hard work and the things that they've done. I would like to see them get to a bowl game. I think last year we got off to a great start. I think we had some injuries and some fatigue from depth that we just sort of ran out of gas at the end. And I think that some of those things have continued to get shored up, and we continue to gain more depth. And as long as we're stronger and physically can stay after it, I think we got a great opportunity to enjoy the bowl game in the postseason.
What's the measuring stick for success in year 3 for you then? How do you quantify whether or not this is successful?
Yeah, I don't know I think everybody looks for a number, and I think that's not fair. And that is fair. I mean, you can ask, but I'm not going to say, oh my gosh, if we don't get 5.5 wins, just seeing if you're paying attention. I'm not going to give. I think you just want us to make progress. You just want to make progress, and I think we all know what it feels like and what it looks like, and I think we've seen this group of players get better with this staff, and they're continuing the growth of the individuals, whether it's the growth that certain people by position, or if it's the growth of them off the field, or if it's the growth of our and the improvement of our recruiting. We just continue to see improvement, and that's what I like most. And so that's how I measure most of the coaches and the teams that we have in our department, and we just want to continue to make progress. And I think that these guys are doing it at a fairly rapid rate.
Do you think Mark feels a level of pressure when you commit? You said $180 million. When you commit those kind of funds to it, and you're unveiling it this season?
Yeah, I don't think there's anybody that is in this enterprise in terms of the things that we do athletically at an administrative level or at a coach's level that doesn't feel pressure to do the things that we want to do. I don't care whether that's, I so respect all of our head coaches. Some of them may not get the media accolades or media attention that our football and men's and women's basketball and other programs get, but they feel an incredible pressure to perform for Kentucky and for the fans and for the athletes and the university they represent. I don't think if you're in this thing and you have a heartbeat, you don't feel pressure. There's no one that wants to go home and go, gosh, well, I can put my head on the pillow tonight because I failed miserably and I feel okay with it. There's no one that wakes up and comes into this deal that doesn't feel pressure and wants to perform at a high level for the people that they work with, work for, and represent. So Mark is absolutely a competitive guy, and he wants to. There's not a moment I'm sure he's not thinking about what is the next thing that'll help him become a champion.
Time for a couple more. 2014 Birmingham, alluding to the stadium improvement that Missouri had on the drawing board. I asked Coach Pinkel, has that come to fruition? And he answered in a very profound way. I thought maybe it's somewhat of a stretch, but he said that if you pass by a stadium and you don't see a crane, you're being left behind. What's your thoughts about that?
We've got enough cranes out there. I don't think cranes are the problem. We're good. So we should be fine, Lonnie. We're good. I think that you want to be careful in that you're not into. You've got to do what's best for your program, and I think as I alluded to in the construction process over the last decade, there was a time when we knew we needed to do some things and we wanted to do some things, but we had to wait our turn at the university. And that's part of it. You are a part of a greater good. And there were things at this university that needed to be done, whether those were in the medical center, whether those were in the housing of the residential life, some academic buildings. Those were all really, really important things at this university, and we needed to wait our turn. And so that was really important for us. And we did. And when it finally became our turn to have an opportunity to improve our program, we were fortunate enough to be able to do it. Now that's what we're doing. And so as you we've been waiting a while, and our football program has been waiting a while, and now you look out there and it's all happening, and it's pretty neat. And for us to be able to get to next summer and have this stadium complete and have a football training center that our guys can work out of is outstanding. So it's an exciting time for us. But obviously in departments, you're always looking. You always have things that you're trying to improve and expand upon. And we've got a tennis center that's on the design of a tennis center that's on the docket right now, and we've also got the design of a baseball stadium on the docket right now. So those are two things that the next two steps for us, and that's really important. The ability to move football into their new building, and then move our track and field and gymnastics programs into the old Nutter Football Center and use that facility efficiently for some of our students that will live on that side of campus and do their stuff on that side of campus will be really, really cool for us. So we're excited about that. And then, and I think that everybody, as a piece of the greater good, I don't want anybody to lose sight of the fact that we've also started our contributions to the university for the new science building that's going up. So, there's ways we're trying to help in a variety of things on campus. We've got the addition of the science building. And then we continue to fund the scholarships across campus for regular students on campus. So, there's different ways that I think we're contributing to the good of the university, at the same time doing the best we can for our student athletes, and I think that's important.
All right, thanks, Mitch, so much.
Sure, no problem.
We'll keep on time here and.
Awesome. Appreciate it. Start by thanking Mitch and Dr. Capilouto. You could tell by the stadium and what we're doing. There's been great support, so I greatly appreciate them. It's great to get started. As you know, I've been tired of the talking season and anxious to get started with football. So it was good to get on some meetings this morning, get rolling with football. I'm excited about our players. Our players have worked extremely hard. I tell you, I've been very proud. As a coach, the last thing you want is news in the summer. So our guys have really handled their business, taken care of themselves academically. There's a great energy in our building, so we're ready to go. Players are optimistic, coaches are ready to go, so we're ready to roll.
Mark, Gosier's not on the roster.
Yeah. Thorell will not make it, and neither will Joe Vaughn. So they won't be here.
What about Nick Richardson, also on the roster?
Yeah, Nick is no longer with us. Yep. There'll be one other guy, Levon Livingston. We're still working through some things as well. So we're optimistic that we could get him back later this summer.
Questions for Coach?
A couple things too. Courtney Love and Greg Hart. We're not sure where that's at yet as well. So we're waiting on that.
Do you have a timeline for how long before you have to say we're just not going to put them? I mean, do you practice them regularly?
Yeah, it's a little bit tricky. We had that situation in the spring, but we will work with them. They'll get some reps. We will not work them with the ones much, obviously, until we see where they're at. So it'll be a week or two. We're optimistic that we'll get some resolution on that in the next week or two. So. You guys are tired of hearing me talk all summer. I am too. I've had enough. We're ready to go. Like I said, it was good to stop seeing all your faces and see my team this morning. So I can promise you that. Last night's meeting was good. Like I said, our players were all back. Just excited. They've worked hard. They're confident, as they should be, just because of the work. As I tell them all the time. You can be more confident if you put the work in. I feel like our players have dedicated themselves, gotten bigger, gotten stronger, and worked extremely hard. So there's great energy, there's great optimism, but we have to go do it. We have to be more disciplined. We have to be more disciplined in our approach. And bottom line is we have to be more consistent, and I think we are. I think you'll see that from this team. So, as I always tell you, we're not arrived yet, but we're on our way.
Mark, the change in the body type during the season, was it more profound this year than the previous year?
Yeah, as you would expect. We feel like we've recruited good bodies, some good length, some good size, and then you need to develop those guys. And I feel like we're getting, more where we want to be, So we're not, we're still a work in progress physically as well as we are mentally, but we're getting better. That's for sure. We have more bodies to work with. We look better.
Coach, you got a new offensive coordinator. What
Yeah.
changes can we see from last year?
Yeah, I think you'll see some similar things. I think the roots of this system are similar, but I think you'll see more put on the quarterback as far as communication in our operation. I think you'll see a little bit different style of the run game at times. There'll be some carryover as well with that, but I'd like to improve in our run game as we always do, with everything in our program. I think Coach Dawson does a good job of having a physical approach, and that opens up the opportunity to get the ball down the field, and that's where we need to improve. If the run game puts pressure on people, you put pressure on people in the run game, it opens things up down the field. We feel like we're more experienced and have some more playmakers outside. I think that's where you need to be good in this offense, and in any offense, you need to be a threat outside. And I feel like, we have some experience from those guys. Those guys are getting bigger, getting stronger. We got some playmakers, so that'll put some pressure on some people.
On your post-spring depth chart, there were oars with all the running backs. What do you want to see from those guys to get us started?
Yeah, because nobody's really just jumped out and earned the spot. There's been inconsistencies in each of them, and there's been some very good things from each of them. So we'll see where they go. We're not really worried about it right now. To you all and to them, it is important to earn a starting position, but they have plenty of opportunities. They got about 29 practices to see who earns the opportunity to go out there first.
Mark, you're going more hands-on with the defensive backs. You talked about these freshmen wanting to get in there and work with them. How, much are you anticipating getting to work with those guys, and how, for those veteran guys, you've talked so much about being concerned at corner. You got two guys that have started for 2 years. How have they responded to your concern, I guess?
They have no choice but to work to get better. We put pressure on all of our players to improve. They need to improve. We're proud of the work that they've done, but they need to be more consistent. As far as myself, I hope to be a lot more involved. I'm very confident. Coach Elliott's done a great job in organizing our package and being on the same page with our coaches and our players, and I really like where we're at systematically. I really want to be more involved. I need to be more involved. The first 2 years, I think, there's distractions that come with it if you just want it. That's why it's just hard to handle one side or the other. For me, the first 2 years, as far as you got to have good people. That's why we've got great coordinators on both sides of the ball, and I'm very proud of the work they've done, and I'm anxious to get back in there and get more involved. And so I will work with Coach Ansley and Coach Elliott, and just see if I can help. Like I told you earlier, with the hire of Coach Boo, I think there's so much pressure put on defenses. Certainly you see the SEC changing, and everyone in college football, and the pressure that they put on defenses. And whether it's rules, whether it's tempo, a lot of things that factor into that there's a lot of pressure on you defensively. And it takes a lot of, it takes good players, and it takes a lot of help in the defensive room. So I'm excited to get in there and give as much as I can, and hopefully, year 3, you settle in and you find your rhythm as far as when you get pulled out of the room and those things. You have your obligations as a head coach that I'm more comfortable with at this point in time, but I am excited to get back into the room, talking to you guys is exciting at times, but coaching defense and coming up with game plans and seeing those executed is much more exciting.
Coach, how much of a factor will Jacob Hyde play into that run game? Is he still dabbling at the...
We'll see. We'll see. Yes, he's dabbling. We'll see where it goes. If he can help us, we'll use him. The great thing about Jacob, like a lot of our players, he's very unselfish, and he's a guy that wants to help the football team win, and he'll do whatever it takes to get on the field and help.
Mark, you said that you don't replace options Dupree and Zadarius Smith.
Yeah.
but you say you need to play better around them. Name some of the people that you may be talking about playing better around them.
Well, I think as we've said most of the summer, you know, we're going to be inexperienced at the outside linebacker position. You know, Denzel Ware, Jason Hatcher, Elvante Bell, you know, are a few guys. You got Jabari back on an edge into the boundary that, you know, played well last year. Those are a few names if you want them. But overall, it is hard to replace those guys because they have the experience. And so, you know, that's what's going to be hard to replace. But we're more experienced inside. We're going to play much better at inside linebacker. You know, I've made no bones about it as I've sat here through the first 2 years telling you that, you know, we haven't played well enough at times at a lot of positions. And certainly we haven't played to our standard inside. I think you're going to see vast improvement at the inside linebacker position. I think you're going to see improvement from the secondary. And you know, and we have some experience inside. We lost some experience. We lost some good players up front, but we have some coming back as well. You know, Melvin Lewis, Farrington, Jabari, those guys are going to be good players for us and good leaders.
Coach, have you made any progress in deciding on a quarterback?
Yeah, we feel very good about it. You know, you all, I know it's something to write about and all that, but just like the running back position or whatever, there's a lot of competition that goes on. You know, nothing's going to be given to you in this program. You're going to earn it. You're going to work for it. I've made no bones about it. I've been proud of the quarterbacks. I've been proud of Patrick. I've been proud of the work he's done. I think he's improved. You know, you could go back to, again, I could go back to the story when he was, you know, named third team. You know, in a high-profile, talented quarterback, could have put his head down and walked away and quit. And all he did was get better. You know, I've asked him to get better from last year to this year, and that's what he's done. So, you know, there's pressure on all of our players to improve. So, you know, that'll work its way out. It could work its way out in one day. It could work its way out in 2 practices. It could work its way out in 2 weeks or through the first game. I don't know. Again, as I've said, I think it's more of a compliment to Drew and his capabilities than anything negative on Patrick, because Patrick has done everything we've asked him to do. He's getting better, and I think he's going to have a great year. You know, but I just, you know, I feel, you know, again, I go to Drew and the good things he's done. He deserves that opportunity, and we're going to get a good look at him.
You said this spring that you kind of challenged Drew with the maturity and stepping up in leadership. How has he responded?
I feel a lot better. I feel good about that. He's responded very well. We've put pressure on him. He's responded. He's doing good. He looks better. He's worked on things. He's worked with Coach Dawson. So, you know, I'm anxious to see him. It'll be nice. You know, that you don't have to worry about dabbling with the red shirt and all that stuff. You know, you don't have to worry about it. So if he gets the opportunity to play, then we'll see what he can do.
Mark, you mentioned not wanting players making news outside football.
Yeah.
Last year, you know, you had the air gun thing and the Richmond thing. What do you want the guys to learn from that?
Well, you know, that was a long time ago. But as we have our preseason meetings, we cover a lot of things. And, you know, we pride ourselves on being a learning organization, and all of us. And, you know, we're here to get better and to learn and improve every day. And we have a lot of learning opportunities, you know, and a lot of people point those out to all of us. So that's the good thing. But, you know, I think our team, you know, just whether it be that incident and all the things you see in our society and all the things you see across the country, there's a lot of issues. And we put a lot of people in front of our kids to educate them and to help them and to support them to make good decisions. And when you're dealing with the numbers that we're dealing with, there's going to be some mistakes. And what they have to understand is they're in a fishbowl. Any mistake that they make is going to get, you know, brought to their attention and to this state and to our community and nationally sometimes. And none of us like that, but we're going to learn from it and we're going to move on. So I've been proud of those guys, the work that they've done to put themselves in good standing on this team and to move forward. So, yeah.
How many guys are you going to look at in the return game?
Quite a bit, quite a few. You know, we need to look at a lot of guys. We feel like we're getting more and more playmakers in there. I feel like kick returning, we're going to have a lot of options. punt returns is the one that we have to shore up. And TV Williams, Ryan. It'd be interesting to see Ryan back there. I'd like to see him get comfortable and be able to do that. So we'll look at some options at punt return, but kick return, we feel like we're getting more and more playmakers, more and more guys with talent, with the football in their hands. It's an easier catch, a little less pressure on them on the kick return. So I feel like we'll have some options there, and we need to make some explosive plays in the return game. So punt return is the one that I'm more concerned about.
Has that frustrated you with Timmons a little bit, because he was such an electric playmaker in high school, and at times when he gets the ball in his hands here, that he seems to have had some sort of maybe a mental hang up with the punt return aspect?
I don't think so. I'm not frustrated with him at all. No, I think he's going to have a big year both in the return game and in receiver. And Coach Dawson will do a great job of getting the ball in his hands, and I think he's a very good player, and that's not easy to do. A punt return is not easy to do, and it takes a lot of it takes a good skill set to do that, and I anticipate he'll be out there battling to make some plays in the punt return game. So we'll see where he goes. So.
How ready are maybe Bill and Miggins to help you now, and what do you want to see from them this
Yeah, we'll see. Both guys they have not been here this summer. They just arrived on campus. So, it's hard to know what to expect. I know they both look good. I know they both have put a lot of work in and dedicated themselves to get here. They were very talented players in high school and in junior college and on film. So I'm excited about them to see what they can do. So we'll see as we move forward with them. But I'm not sure. Yeah.
Mark, what have you learned the most in these first 2 years?
Well, I don't. That's hard to put into context. There's quite a few things. I think, as I said, I think it's constantly. You're constantly learning. We pride ourselves. I pride myself on pushing the staff and the players to constantly learn, put them in a learning environment. I'm always trying to do the same. I've always felt comfortable with the organization of what we have in place to move this program forward. I think we're very clear and very defined on what we expect of ourselves, of our staff, of our players. And, I have great support around me. As I said earlier, I can't thank Dr. Capilouto, Mitch Barnhart enough. We have great people. Whether it's strength and conditioning, high performance, leadership, and Jason Cummings. We have great people around here that help us and help organize me and move the program forward. So there's a lot of areas, I believe, that, that we as an organization have improved on. So.
I will do last question, anybody?
And Mark, I was just curious, how do you balance the need to settle on a quarterback with Reese getting an opportunity coming off an injury?
Well, Reese isn't quite 100% right now, so he won't be live in team drills for a while, so we'll see where he can be. So he's coming off a pretty significant injury. We need him out there. We need the arms in camp, to operate and to practice. So he will be out there, and he will do some 7-on-7. His arm is good, and he's throwing and all that, but putting him in live situations right now, I don't know. He's not ready for that. Okay, so, but it will be important for him. Obviously, he will be behind the 8 ball a little bit, missing all spring practice, in all the summer. Really, he's worked on his own, but he hasn't been in there much with the team. So again, thank you. I'm excited about this team. I feel like, the bottom line is, as I said earlier at SEC Media Days, we're an improved football team. And that's what we need to concentrate on. I know we're better. I know our players have worked hard. They're doing the right things. They're bought into what we're doing. We need to take the next step. We need to be more disciplined in our approach and more consistent. That's the bottom line. So I think that's what's exciting to me. That these guys are eager. They want to win. They want to do the right things. We'll see. We have a great opportunity. It's an exciting time with the stadium, with the facility that's being built, with the staff we have in place. There's a lot of good things, a lot of positive things. And so that's what we're anxious to get going. As I said, we got our first practice today, and we're ready to go. Thank you. Yep.
defensive coordinator. Yeah.
Excited to get started. Fortunately, we've had a great summer, and we're able to work with the guys and able to have meetings with them and to be out there for their workouts. And with that, you always feel more ahead of the game going into training camp. And I'm looking forward to working with these guys, getting them better every day, focusing on it one day at a time, and developing them to be the type of players I think they can be in the defense that we can be.
DJ, Mark talked about finding his rhythm as a head coach in your career. Are you in the same position as being comfortable year 3 coordinator?
I'm definitely more comfortable year 3 as a coordinator, but I think that one of the most critical things in transition is each program may be different, each player may be different, each conference may be different. So even though I've had to transition as a coordinator, I've also grown for this program, this league, and these players.
How difficult is it to get the junior college guys that just reported up to speed?
Well, I think that each player is different, and sometimes positions are different. You know, some positions may require more technique, and some positions may require more assignment. And the ones that require more assignment, it's more difficult to get them up to speed. Defensive line, corner, I like to say that those are easy in theory, but they're hard in application. There might not be a lot of things that they have to know mentally, but it sure is hard to execute that technique. And with practice, you can get those techniques executed, but the lack of meeting time sometimes with a safety or with a linebacker could hurt you assignment-wise.
What are you expecting from your linebackers? Mark was talking about being young on the outside and being strong on the inside. What kind of things do you want in early camp?
Well, ultimately, the defense as a whole has to be physical defense. We have to play with tremendous effort, and we have to play fundamentally sound, and we have to play together and within the defense. But at linebacker play, the outside guys are critical in the run, but very critical in the pass with their pass rush. So our outside linebackers have to be able to rush the passer. Our inside linebackers, they make a lot of checks up front. They make a lot of adjustments. And versus the power run teams, they're involved on those inside run plays so much that they have to be very physical. And they have to have the size and the explosiveness to stop those plays.
How confident are you that you have the tools, if not yet the experience, to have the depth that you're looking to get on defense?
Repeat the question.
How confident are you that you have the tools, if maybe not yet the experience, to have the depth you want to have on defense?
Okay. Is that, are you referring to like talent? Okay. I think that our recruiting has been very good, and I feel a lot better than when we got here on the talent on our defense. And depth is critical. I thought it was critical last year, and it's something that we're really harping on going into training camp, is developing depth so that we can have a good rotation at all our positions.
DJ, moving to the 3-4, how many strong side defensive ends will you rep and have game ready?
We'll be 3 deep. We'll be 2 deep plus 1. Okay, so if you got 2 defensive ends, then we'll be 2 deep plus 1, ready to play in every game. If you have more, that's great. But I look at that at every position on defense. I want to be 2 deep plus 1. So what that means, if I got 2 corners, I want to be able to have 2 deep plus 1 that could go to either side. Now, if you've got more that you can play, more guys you can get in the rotation, that's even better. But that's the goal that I'm looking for heading into camp.
DJ, what's your expectation level for the 2 JUCO guys, the defensive linemen, Megan and Bell, and Mark said obviously you haven't seen them much yet, but what do you hope for them?
Well, you recruit junior college players because you need a veteran player at that position. That's the reason you recruit junior college players. So, you may have a gap from an older player that left, and the only other players left on your roster at that position are younger players. So you need a veteran player to come in at that position. And I think that both those guys have a lot of talent. They're going to be more experienced in college football, maybe not within our defense, but in college football in general, than a freshman because they've played 2 years of college football. And, I think they have a chance to do some great things. I'm looking forward to working with them. But like Coach Stoops says, you really don't know until you work with them.
DJ, what do you expect from Mike Edwards and Darius West?
Mike Edwards and Darius West, as you know, we redshirted last year, but they're extremely talented. Mike is an excellent cover safety. Darius is an excellent run-fitting safety. He's very physical. He's fast. Mike can cover a slot. He can win one-on-one situations in pass coverage. I think those guys have a very bright future here, and fortunately, we're starting to develop some depth in the secondary with guys like that on our team, and we haven't necessarily had that the last 2 years.
Is Kobe Walker, how quick is he going to get back into camp, and what do you expect from him?
It's too early to tell how quick he'll be in full swing, but I think Kobe Walker, a lot like some of our other young players, has a lot of talent. He has a lot of talent. He's long, he's fast. He's a guy that played DB in high school, but now we're playing him at linebacker, so he has the coverage skills of a DB at the linebacker position, and he's put on some weight. He's put on about 10 or 15 pounds since he's been here, so he's getting to the size that he needs to hold up in the run, too.
What's the most important step for Jason Hatcher now that he's not got Bud there as kind of a security blanket in front of him?
Jason just needs to take it one day at a time and continue to harp on the fine things and fundamentals.
Got time for two more.
DJ, can you talk about that depth on the interior defensive line a little bit? The wealth of guys you can rotate in and out.
Well, we've got a returning starter in Melvin Lewis back, and Matt Elam saw significant reps too last year at nose guard, and then Reggie Ment and Corey Johnson played last year for us as well. Farrington played for us last year. We've brought in Courtney Meggans from the inside line. We redshirted Adrian Middleton and Tamir DeBose, and then on top of that, Jacob Hyde is over there at the nose guard position as well. So the majority of our players at that position are, like I said, they're either seniors or they're freshmen, and that was one reason why it was critical to bring Courtney in, because then you put a junior in that mix.
What do you like about 3-4?
Well, I get a lot of questions about the 3-4, but I still consider our defense multiple. We at Florida State, we didn't run any 3-4 schemes. We ran all 4-3 schemes. And since we've been here, we've evolved to some 3-4 schemes. But if you watch us, you'll still see a lot of 4-3 schemes as well, a lot of 4-down schemes. So if somebody were to ask me, which you guys never do, what we are on defense, I would tell you that we're multiple. We're a multiple defense, okay? But one thing that I like about 3-4 schemes is that the offense doesn't know who the fourth rusher is. So if you think about it, in a 4-down scheme, there's 4 designed rushers. It's the 4 defensive linemen. But in a 3-4 scheme, somebody else is coming besides those 3 defensive linemen on any given down, and they don't necessarily know which one it is.
Okay.
Okay.
Else?
You guys had a chance to be around Rich Brooks a little bit here recently. Did you talk much football? Did he have any advice? Did you pick his brain?
Rich Brooks and I have really hit it off, and we talk, and he's here periodically because his son lives here, and so I see him when he comes into town, and I've sat down with him and I've picked his brain. He's a defensive-minded coach, so I always like visiting with defensive-minded coaches with experience, and he's given me some good advice.
All right, thanks, Coach Elliott.
Thank you.
All right, Coach Dawson, we're ready.
Opening statement, then questions, right?
Yeah.
We can do that. Well, I'm excited. That's my opening statement. I'm ready to get going. you know, the summer and everything it rolls around. I think when football season comes around, it gives everybody a reason to live, especially me. I get up with a little more pep in my step. So I'm excited. I'm ready to go. I believe in these guys. I believe in them wholeheartedly, and we're going to work to put a good product on the field. And so with that, questions, shoot.
Shannon, I think at one of these events recently you said you had more wide receiver depth than maybe you ever had at West Virginia. Just what kind of weapons?
Who said that? Did I say that? I need to see those transcripts. It's embarrassing. This is what I meant by that. And I actually just got, my man back there just asked me the same question. And I love the room, okay? We have depth. We don't have a whole lot of experience depth. Does that make sense? I mean, we got kids in that room that, in my opinion, are capable of great things, are capable of 100 reception years like we've had in the past. We just don't have a guy coming back from last year that has 100 receptions that's going to lead that experience in. Now, you know, we have 2 or 3 guys, you know, 2 at every position, probably 3 at some, that I feel extremely comfortable going out, you know, putting them on the field and play. And so to answer your question, I like our depth. You know, I think we got numbers. They're young depth. They're young, inexperienced depth, if that answers your question. So somebody needs to step up, bottom line.
What kind of expectation could Timmons be one of those guys, Ryan Timmons?
He definitely can be. Talented guy. You know, everybody's got a unique skill set. You know, that kid, in my opinion, is good. You got to be multiple with him. You got to be creative with that kid. You got to find ways to get him the ball and put him in space. And so you have kids that are down the field guys that are going to stretch the defense. You have guys that are good intermediate guys running routes off linebackers. And in my opinion, you got guys that you got to be creative with and get the ball in their hand. And so I think he's one of those guys that can line up at multiple positions and do multiple things. His capacity is high as far as being able to do things with probably minimal reps, which that's a, you know, you got to kind of gauge that with every kid. You know, what's their capacity? Because the one thing you don't want to do is you don't want to sit here and expand his role in such a way where the things he's doing the majority of the time he's not getting good at. And so I think he's got that capacity.
Shannon, it's been a long time around here since there was a tight end who was a threat as a pass catcher. How much do you want that to be a factor, and do you think you have the personnel to have that this year?
I do. I'd love it. I mean, if we can throw it down the field to him every time, I will. You know, if he's open, I like getting the open guy the ball. And so if the problem with tight ends, okay, everybody asks you about tight ends. The problem with tight ends is not a lot of them can get open because defensive guys are typically more athletic than tight ends. And so if you have a guy that's athletic enough to create some space and routes, it's great. And I think we definitely have those guys. So we're going to use them. We're not going to use them every time. And so we're not going to get overly infatuated and come out in a tight end set every snap. I can promise you that. You got to be careful. You know, our depth there is not great. We have a couple guys that are good, a couple guys that are talented. The issue with that is, I mean, if you go into a game thinking that, okay, we're going to do 80% 11 personnel, what if one of those guys gets nicked up? You know, you got to have something else to do. So we're going to be multiple as far as formations and personnel guys go. But I do believe we have a couple of tight ends that can make plays down the field, which is ultimately the criteria of that guy for me. That's number one. Blocking and everything is really secondary to me because I think that's want to. That's effort. You know, I can get you lined up and block if you want to. You probably don't want to. But I mean, you know, you ain't gonna do very good catching the ball down the field. But
is Conrad back to 100%?
He is. Yeah, he is. He feels good.
Coach Jacob Hyde, how much will he factor into the offense?
Certain situations. You know, we're going to use him leverage on leverage. You know, if we need, you know, he's great at what he does, a great kid, understands his role, and so there's going to be situations where it's a half a yard and we need to get one. And so we'll put his big ass in there and knock somebody out. I ain't scared to put him in there. But, I mean, look, like everything else, I mean, we're going to use him situationally, you know. Are you going to see him on 1st and 10? Probably not. You know, if you do, I'm just trying to get a laugh out of you, probably. So. Are we going to throw it to him a lot? Probably not. You know, he understands his role, as we all should.
Coach Stoops was talking about the maturity he's seen in Drew Barker. What's your first impression of him?
Awesome. I mean, I talked to the kid when I originally got here. You know, everybody understands the background. Everybody understands what happens. I'm glad I'm not judged on what I did at 18 and 19. And so that was my overall theme to him at the beginning, is that I'm not here to sit here and have a preconceived notion about people. I'm here to give people opportunities. And so the kid's a great kid. He's a talented kid. His maturity since I've got here has grown. You put him in those positions more and more, and he's going to get better and better. At every situation, socially, athletically, and everything. And so the kid has grown leaps and bounds like we all did at that age, hopefully. Some people in here probably didn't, and I feel sorry for you guys. But, everybody's got growing pains. And so, and he's no different than everybody else on the team and everybody on our coaching staff and everybody in life. And so his maturity has been awesome.
You talked about trusting your eyes when you watch quarterbacks. As fall camp begins, what are you watching for every day of your guys?
Well, man, the one comment about that is I think you gotta understand when I sit in that quarterback room that everybody's comfort level is different. Everybody's eyes might see things slightly different than the other guy. Even though we're going through the same progression and we're running the same offense. And I said it this morning on the radio show, I don't want a robot out there. I want your personality to show through. And so even when I sit in a quarterback room, I might look at something on the film and heck, you can run it back and tell me that guy's open, but in real time, what does it look like in your eyes? We got to make decisions in real time, which is different than, when you see the replay on the Scantron and 60,000 people say, Coach Dawson's an idiot, why didn't you throw it to that guy? Well, yeah. I get that, but in real time, how does it look to your eyes? Pre-snap, post-snap, and I think in a way, it's kind of a soothing mechanism for those guys mentally to just relax and understand that maybe that throw that kid made is not something that looks appeasing to me. I don't feel comfortable with that. I'm gonna go through my progression and get it to this guy, and so I just think that ultimately your job as a quarterback is to distribute the ball, to put the ball in play, and so if you get that done, then you get a plus. It's not this putting in play versus that putting in play. I don't judge it by that. Everybody looks at things a little bit different. And I want you to be an individual out there.
You guys were so excited on signing day about getting a big group of wide receivers, really adding some size, adding some guys that were basically basketball players. How disappointing is it, I guess, to lose one of those guys to not have the 6'6", 210-pound guy make it here?
It's always a little bit disappointing, but we're going to play with the guys we have.
Shannon, when you talk about the personality that you like to see of guys at quarterback, does that go with running back too? And how do you like JoJo Kemp's personality?
Yeah, I love his personality. A confident guy. I like confident people overall. Usually confident people are calm and they perform well when things get tight. And so I think we got a bunch of those guys, to be honest with you. And I love JoJo's personality, and what he brings to the game is awesome. His energy is great. That whole running back room, is set up in a way where everybody's got, personality and skill sets that are a little bit different than the next person, which I think is really, really good. And so my job is to put them in an environment, put them in a situation where they can be successful. And so, within the whole blueprint of the offense, all of those guys have to be able to do the same thing, but they'll probably showcase it a little bit different when they're on the field because their skill sets are a little different.
Having honed, you came in and you honed the rough edges off of Patrick, and you taught him what you wanted to do in the offense and all that. Can you tell from just scrimmages that you've been in with him, can you tell that he has that acumen that quarterback needs?
I think we're getting there. I don't think you really know until you get in that real situation. We try to simulate things as coaches at practice. You can't simulate it. You can't simulate what's going to go on out here, on our first game when it's tight. I think that as coaches we have to prepare them in such a way when they get in those situations, it's just second nature, And I think that's part of the programming process with quarterbacks is just to slow down everything to where it just happens. We don't stress about it. And look, there's going to be times it doesn't happen. And guess what? My job in those times is to get over it. Move on, go to the next play. We're not going to make every play. And so the more we can have short-term memory and move on, good things and bad things. You don't want to have a good thing happen and you sit there and think that, oh, I'm the man now. Well, guess what? You're going to go 3 and out about 4 times in a row, You got to play at an even kill rate, And I think we're getting there. I think we're definitely getting there.
Right, John, right here.
Shannon, what was your first impression of Boone when you were watching the film from last year when you came in this spring and dealt with him the first time?
A dynamic skill set. The kid can obviously outrun everybody that's on the field on both teams, and so which is a big plus. You know, all we got to do is get the ball in his hand when he's outrunning everybody. You know, and so I love his skill set. I love his personality too. He was asking back there about personalities. I mean, Boone brings a lot of good energy to the group, and so again, with running backs, it's really overall with me is to be able to find ways to get them the ball in a lot of different settings. And so Boom is no different. You know, we got to get him the ball a lot of different ways.
All right, thanks, Coach. Yeah, we need to stay on.
What's been the biggest difference since you've been down?
You almost got cut off.
Almost.
What?
What's been the biggest difference, I guess, from moving from West Virginia to down here, the process-wise, for you?
Geographically on a map, or like, what are you talking about?
Just day to day.
I mean, my life doesn't change much day to day, to be honest with you. I'm at my house with my wife and daughter, and I'm at my office. And I'm at my house with my wife and daughter, and I'm at my office. So, and every now and again, we'll venture out and go eat, which is, to be honest with you, the biggest difference is the town. The town's just a lot bigger and a lot nicer. And so my mindset's really the same. I just do, you know, I keep it simple, brother. I'm not very smart.
And we'll end on that.
All right.